How does the context window of going from 8K to 128K tokens compare from GPT-4 to GPT-4 Turbo?
People like most people don't need all the way to 128 most of the time, although, if we dream into the distant future, we'll have like way distant future, we'll have like context length of several billion. You will feed in all of your information, all of your history over time, and it'll just get to know you better and better, and that'll be great. For now, the way people use these models, they're not doing that. And, people sometimes post in a paper or, a significant fraction of a code repository or whatever. But most usage of the models is not using the long context most of the time.
I like that this is your I have a dream speech. One day you'll be judged by the full context of your character or of your whole lifetime. That's interesting. So that's part of the expansion that you're hoping for is a greater and greater context.
I saw this internet clip once. I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but it was like Bill Gates talking about the amount of memory on some early computer. Maybe it was 64K, maybe 640K, something like that. And most of it was used for the screen buffer. And he just couldn't, it seemed genuine, couldn't imagine that the world would eventually need gigabytes of memory in a computer or terabytes of memory in a computer. And you always do. Or you always do just need to follow the exponential of technology. And we're going to we will find out how to use better technology. So I can't really imagine what it's like right now for context lengths to go out to the billions someday. And they might not literally go there, but effectively it'll feel like that. But I know we'll use it and really not want to go back once we have it.
Yeah, even saying billions 10 years from now might seem dumb because it'll be like trillions upon trillions.
Sure.
There'll be some kind of breakthrough that will effectively feel like infinite context. But even 120, I have to be honest, I haven't pushed it to that degree. Maybe putting in entire books or parts of books and so on, papers. What are some interesting use cases of GPT-4 that you've seen?
The thing that I find most interesting is not any particular use case that we can talk about those, but it's people who kind of this is mostly younger people, but people who use it as their default start for any kind of knowledge work task.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that it can do a lot of things reasonably well. You can use GPT-IV, you can use it to help you write code, you can use it to help you do search, you can use it to edit a paper. The most interesting thing to me is the people who just use it as the start of their workflow.
I do as well for many things. I use it as a reading partner for reading books. It helps me think through ideas, especially when the books are classics. So it's really well written about, and it actually is I find it often to be significantly better than even Wikipedia on well-covered topics. It's somehow more balanced and more nuanced. Or maybe it's me, but it inspires me to think deeper than a Wikipedia article does. I'm not exactly sure what that is. You mentioned this collaboration. I'm not sure where the magic is. If it's in here or if it's in there or if it's somewhere in between. I'm not sure. But one of the things that concerns me for a knowledge task when I start with GPT is I'll usually have to do fact checking after. Check that it didn't come up with fake stuff. How do you figure that out? That GPT can come up with fake stuff that sounds really convincing. So how do you ground it in truth?
That's obviously an area of intense interest for us. I think it's going to get a lot better with upcoming versions, but we'll have to continue to work on it, and we're not going to have it all solved this year.
Well, the scary thing is as it gets better, you'll start not doing the fact checking more and more, right?
I'm of two minds about that. I think people are much more sophisticated users of technology than we often give them credit for. And people seem to really understand that any of these models hallucinate some of the time. And if it's mission critical, you got to check it.
Except journalists don't seem to understand that. I've seen journalists half-assedly just using GPT-4. It's
of the long list of things I'd like to dunk on journalists for, this is not my top criticism of them.
Well, I think the bigger criticism is perhaps the pressures and the incentives of being a journalist is that you have to work really quickly, and this is a shortcut. I would love our society to incentivize
I would too.
a long a journalistic efforts that take days and weeks, and and rewards great in-depth journalism. Also journalism that presents stuff in a balanced way where it's like celebrates people while criticizing them, even though the criticism is the thing that gets clicks, and making shit up also gets clicks, and headlines that mischaracterize completely. I'm sure you have a lot of people dunking on, well, all that drama probably got a lot of clicks.
Probably did.
And that's a bigger problem about human civilization I'd love to see solved, is where we celebrate a bit more. You've given ChatGPT the ability to have memories. You've been playing with that about previous conversations. And also the ability to turn off memory. I wish I could do that sometimes. Just turn on and off, depending. I guess sometimes alcohol can do that, but not optimally, I suppose. What have you seen through that, like playing around with that idea of remembering conversations and not?
We're very early in our explorations here, but I think what people want, or at least what I want for myself, is a model that gets to know me and gets more useful to me over time. This is an early exploration. I think there's like a lot of other things to do, but that's where we'd like to head. You'd like to use a model, and over the course of your life, or use a system, there'd be many models, and over the course of your life, it gets better and better.
Yeah, how hard is that problem? Because right now it's more like remembering little factoids and preferences and so on. What about remembering, like, don't you want GPT to remember all the shit you went through in November and all the drama, and then you can...
Yeah.
Because right now you're clearly blocking it out a little bit.
It's not just that I want it to remember that. I want it to integrate the lessons of that.
Yes.
And remind me in the future what to do differently or what to watch out for. Mm-hmm. And, we all gain from experience over the course of our lives, varying degrees. And I'd like my AI agent to gain with that experience too. So if we go back and let ourselves imagine that, trillions and trillions of context length, if I can put every conversation I've ever had with anybody in my life in there, if I can have all of my emails input out, like all of my input output in the context window every time I ask a question, that'd be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be very cool. People sometimes will hear that and be concerned about privacy. Is there, what do you think about that aspect of it? The more effective the AI becomes at really integrating all the experiences and all the data that happened to you and give you advice,